What is Open Perpetuum? Well, before I answer that, let me just inform you that this is the second in a duo of videos, the first being What is Perpetuum? I will link that in the description below, and I will also put it in the cards to help you find your way to it. In that one, I spoke about what Perpetuum, the game, is, what you can do in it, what you can do with it. What is Open Perpetuum is today's question, and yes, it is a different question. But let's get into it. In the words of the developers, Open Perpetuum is a free, community-run server and open source development project. Just in case you didn't watch the first video in this duo, let me just inform you that Perpetuum, the game's official servers, were shut down a few years ago, and they released their open source code and allowed anyone and everyone essentially to go ahead and make their own servers. What the players did with that source code and did with their ability to host servers was always entirely up to them. But there were some tight-knit and elite players from the original game that got together and decided to make their own free community-run server that they would develop, they would add to the game, they would refine what they already loved to play, and this is it. Open Perpetuum is not run by Avatar Creations, the creator of the game. It does not have workers, it does not have employees, it has volunteers, it has players that enjoyed the game so much that they got together to work on the game that they love to play. To quote the Open Perpetuum website, Open Perpetuum was founded for the sole purpose of making Perpetuum better and hosting a server for the whole community. Anyone can play, of any playstyle, PvE, PvP, industry, lone wolf, corporation, all are welcome and can find value in their activities on the Open Perpetuum project server. Game balance and content will be in support of all playstyles, and new content will be developed to support and enrich all activities. And yes, Open Perpetuum has its own website where you can find a lot of the information that I will be giving you today. I will link it in the description so that you can go check it out for yourself if you want. At the very least, I would recommend going to their website so you can look at the dev blog. This is where they've talked about every feature that they have created and added to the game so far, and every one that they are going to add seems to get announced here shortly before it comes out. In terms of major things, other than what I've told you so far, Open Perpetuum isn't much different to Perpetuum itself, but it is a modified version of the base game. If you went ahead and made your own server, it would have the rules of the original game. That is, unless you utilize the open source code provided by the Open Perpetuum team instead, which they do actively keep on GitHub, the open source that they currently use to run their server. So I guess if you wanted to make your own server, you have two places you could start. So now I think you have a pretty good idea what Open Perpetuum is. Now, if you're going to play on the Open Perpetuum server, you might want to know what's different about it from the original server. Other than that, the community runs it. Well, there's been some changes. For one, you don't need to log on every 3 days in order to generate experience points over time. You actually just earn 1,440 experience points every single day since you make your character forever. Simultaneously, the reputation system for missions and for efficiency in structures has also been changed. The three megacorps are not constantly competing with each other. If you do a mission in one location, you will get reputation for all three megacorporations. You will get universal tokens as rewards instead of faction-specific tokens. This way, you don't have to reach a certain place in the world in order to grind rep or grind tokens with someone. You simply earn universal tokens, and if there is anything specific to a corporation to buy, you can actually use the in-game currency NIC plus the tokens you get from the missions, from the assignments, in order to purchase those old tokens you might be used to if you played in the original game. Open Perpetuum also added a pretty generous experience multiplier. Currently, when you start the game, you have a 25 times experience multiplier, meaning you will earn 25 times more experience than someone who has it at 1 times. That's a lot more, and it was made this way to help new players catch up to old players, because the developers do not want this to be a game where if you've played forever, you're just OP, can dominate anything and everything, and they don't want to make it a game where if you're brand new, you have to spend ages catching up and you just might never do it. It used to actually be even lower the multiplier, but they have since changed it, which is again something you can find in the dev blogs if you want to see exactly how they changed it, so that it scales further and farther down or up the number of experience points you earn in order to make the game more enjoyable for new players, while not disenfranchising the accomplishments of those that have played the game for longer than them. Because as you get closer and closer to approximately 700,000 experience points, your multiplier will go from 25 slowly, bit by bit, one by one, down to 1 times. The Open Perpetuum developers have also added Strongholds, which are brand new PvE areas that were not included in the base game at all, and you won't find them in any other server unless one gets made based off the Open Perpetuum source code. These strongholds are variable and more are being developed, but as of the time of recording this, there are currently 2. One for smaller, weaker robot squad-based activities, and one for larger, raid-sized groups with the best robots you can get in the entire game, essentially. Next, they've announced that they're going to release even smaller scaled strongholds, which, if you haven't figured it out by now, are kind of like dungeons and raids, to go along with their world bosses so that every time you kill one, it retreats to a stronghold and you get an appropriately scaled PvE dungeon experience to follow up on those bosses. Which, speaking of which, world bosses are also a pretty unique thing added in by the Open Perpetuum devs. They spawn every few hours after someone kills them, and they give very good experience point rewards and very good amounts of, well, rewards in terms of items and industry equipment that any new player would love to get. They have different levels as well and are located all around the game world to provide varying challenges, experiences, and amounts of rewards for very differently placed players along the scale of progression in the game. Open Perpetuum has even added other things like a new type of ore, an entire new class of robots known as destroyers, which are the heaviest robots in the entire game. They've added augmented modules for your bots, which you can get by running the strongholds. They have overhauled plenty of features from the original game, such as certain PvP related features, and they are currently, at the time of recording, even overhauling and implementing their own version of Gamma Islands, which are fully terraformable, true sandbox locations inside of the game world for you and your corporation to dominate, conquer, or just do whatever the hell you want to with. Again, it's a sandbox. There is a whole bunch of Open Perpetuum specific media, most of which you can find on their website, if not all of which, including guides that they make, a YouTube channel filled with content by the creators of the game, a wiki specific to Open Perpetuum in case you were hoping to learn more before jumping in. There's a player screenshot gallery where the players of the game can feature their favorite moments. And there's more than all of that in everything I've talked about that I haven't talked about. I just wanted to give you a quick overview on the difference between Perpetuum the game and Open Perpetuum the server. There's a lot more information to be found, a lot more microcosm development. I am loving this game so far, and I've been playing it for a few weeks now, and I put in about 60 to 70 hours as of the time of recording, and I plan on putting in up to 100 and hopefully hundreds more. If you want to join me in the game, join my community server in the description below, or come watch me over at Twitch, where I stream this game regularly. If you want to see any videos on the game, feel free to leave some suggestions in the comments below. I will be making guides on all different parts of the game in the Open Perpetuum servers. And to give you an idea, my next 2 videos are likely to be a what to do first video for new players that aren't sure where to start or get overwhelmed by the whole idea of a sandbox as big as one like this, and also a guide on bossing on the starter island, where content tends to be the easiest for newer players. But for now, that's it for this video, so thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.